Today we are reviewing a fairly new, recently published book, I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud, Beneath the Surface. I first picked up this book after a colleague recommended it to me with glowing praise. This unique book not only represents William Wordsworth's poem in a new and distinct way, but it also illustrates where William got his ideas from, Dorothy's Diary.
William grew up with his sister Dorothy, who dedicated her life to him and his work through her astute powers of observation. Dorothy would record any moment that inspired her in incredible detail for William to use in his poems. However, most people do not know this fact, and Dorothy's work often gets overlooked. Yet it is important in understanding any work of art, be it literature, poetry, a painting, etc., to also understand the inspiration that gave life to that work of art. Every idea comes from somewhere and pulls snippets of inspiration from other work. In this way, each creation is a remix of another one. This book shows how Wordsworth's poem is a remix of Dorothy's journal. In addition, I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud Beneath the Surface aims to give deserved credit to Dorothy while also maintaining the importance of William's contribution.
The book went about achieving this goal by pairing segments of William's text with Dorothy's diary. Each spread of the book contains excerpts from Dorothy's diary that relate to the verses William published in his final product of the poem. Because of the juxtaposition of its content and the design of the book, I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud Beneath the Surface appeals to even those who are not huge fans of poetry.
Not only does this book give a new appreciation for Dorothy as a co-contributor, it also changes the way the poem is received. Reading this book gave me a much deeper understanding of William's poetry. I read William in school and started reading more of his poetry on my own, and I never knew how he created and described such fascinating views of nature. Now that I can see the direct ties to another source, I can form connections that I wouldn't see before. I don't believe this takes away from my appreciation of William's work, but rather it adds a new layer of complexity to his poetry. I still appreciate his poems, but I can now appreciate Dorothy's contribution as well.
Exactly. My new appreciation towards Dorothy does not take away from my appreciation of William's work. It just makes me admire them as a team, a family, a unit, of which I feel Dorothy deserves more recognition for. Also, the connections displayed in this book give me a greater appreciation for the poem. In adding to seeing the poem from the ground up, I can now see the way in which the poem was formed from beneath the ground, and how these raw ideas developed to form what we have always seen as a published poem. This is extremely important in appreciating any work of art.
Precisely. It is essential to recognize the sources of creativity because every form of art, whether it's a text, poem, painting, or book, draws its ideas from somewhere. Oftentimes, that somewhere can be overlooked, which is tragic because each component of the process is equally important and beautiful. This book shows how the two work together and off of each other to create the masterpiece I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud.
Yeah, to further elaborate, the book gave a great representation of the poem and journal to help put together the whole picture of the formation of Wordsworth's I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud. The imagery of the roots helped give a raw feel to the text from the journal of Dorothy Wordsworth, as the vivid imagery of the daffodils in their various environments make William's verses seem even more artistic. The juxtaposition of the images and lines of both the journal and poem help the whole flower to come together. These design choices were made with the intention of visually expanding on that metaphor.
And another important element that adds charm to the book is its typography. In this book, there is no such thing as justified, straight, restricted text. Each word flows naturally and freely, visually representing the feel of the words. This reflects the poetic nature of both Dorothy and William's contributions.
Yeah, as a whole, these elements come together, creating the final product that is, I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud Beneath the Surface.
Most people stop to notice a book that looks like a basket sitting on a bookshelf. While it is unconventional, this is what makes readers and buyers curious to read a book, and it's what makes them pick up the book in the first place. I have never read any such book before, one that displays its content in its raw form alongside the final product. After reading the book and analyzing its design, I can say that the numerous awards given to the book are certainly well-deserved.
I agree 100%. The book made me see the work of William Wordsworth in a new light, now that I have some background context on where he pulled his inspiration from. This is a great book not only for students of poetry and literature, but for anyone interested in works of art. This is definitely going on my bookshelf.